his age, but they would still have him come down to the clinic because it made him feel better. And it made them feel better that they would see him. And if they could bring him the peace of mind, and then if he could do something for them, in particular for their kids, that truly meant the world. And as you know, he was inclined to tell you that he helped you out about 15 times, but what he did was really legit and was really genuine.
You know, you guys, I don't know how long you guys worked together at CCO, but it was really well done. And it was largely well done because of you, quite frankly, because he's not the easiest guy to interview, obviously. You got to understand his cadence. You got to understand what he's going to ignore, what he's not going to hear, all of that. That's got to be a great source of satisfaction that you got that opportunity as long as you did. It's obviously it was a natural marriage that everybody said, well, we got to have this, but you didn't have it for a long time. And I thought your patience with him, which couldn't have always been easy, was extraordinary. And you found a way to not, let your temper get the better part of you. When I know what you're wanting to do is scream at him, that's absurd, Sid. You can't possibly believe that. And you would find a way to push back, but you'd find a way to do it in a way that the conversation would not end.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. I think if people remember when it was somewhere in the 90s where Shaver, Randy, who we both know, did a profile on us, and then we were on Randy's show, Sports Extra, for a number of years. And then we could spar, right? Then we could spar. He still had his fastball.
Right.
But by the time I get to CCO, he's still good, but then there's just a little different. And just the last few years, and I thought you managed it beautifully too, right? Where you still can joke, you still can needle, but when he's 95, 96, 97, there's just a way to do it. I'll just be blunt. Some people in the media, I hated how they did it. And I just kept remembering, that's my dad. That is my dad. And I'm trying to put him in the best possible position, but I'm also trying to have us spar a little bit in the right way. And I mean, there's obviously an overwhelming amount of things I'm going to remember. And I'm trying to come to grips with all of those. One of the things that's going to bring me a lot of joy on CCO is, we had a big event planned for his 100th.
Yep.
And the money was going to 3 charities that all benefit kids who have issues like Q. Well, Quentin and I were down in Florida when, Rudy Gobert upset the world. And so the event at Murray's and was canceled, but we surprised him. And we is who you're going to have on for part 2 in the 5 o'clock hour, Bud. And we came in, and the first thing he said, he looked at both of us, Dan, he said, "What are you two doing here?" And then I forget if I said it or Bud said it. He said, "We're going to host the last hour with you." And he looks at me and goes, "I hope not." And then he kind of winked at us, right? Then he kind of got it. But that we did that last hour with him. That we did that last hour on air. And then the part that I'm going to remember the most about the end is, it was clear he was taking the wrong turn. And he had been communicating with us periodically, and it wasn't as clear. And it wasn't just as normal malaprop clear. But at some point in the last, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I just got close to him and spoke up, but tried to tell him in a loving way that I loved you, and I love you, excuse me. And he clearly said back, "I love you too." And like all of us in the room, it was the first time he had communicated that way in a long time. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where you were in the room and it stood out. And I'm trying not to cry right now because I just go through moments where I just know he's with his mom and he's with his friends. But I was at his house like an hour ago, and it's like, I still don't believe this happened.
Well,
he was a constant. He was just constantly there for me. Sometimes to my irritation, but
right.
Sometimes and always, no matter when I needed them.
I'm not sure I'm going to help you in the not crying part because I've gotten several emails like this and one text from people. Here's what's fascinating to me about the Sid phenomenon is that not everybody I'm hearing from necessarily loved everything about what he did in terms of his approach and so forth. But what they are noticing about themselves is how emotional, nevertheless, they are about this moment. And I think it a lot of that speaks to just, like you said, the history, the fact that this is a piece of Minnesota history that a lot of people thought, well, he's going to outlive all of us. He's going to outlive you. He's going to outlive me. And I got one, and I'm not going to say who it's from because I'm not sure if he wants me to, but he reached out to me and he said, when I heard about Sid's passing yesterday, I cried. That had never happened to me before, a non-relative's death. I thought he would live forever, but I guess we're all mortal. I loved the guy. Hope your family is doing well. And I think a lot of people feel that way, regardless of whether they battled with him or whether they say, oh, God, there he goes again.
Yep.
I think it just speaks to the outsized nature of his presence here. Just, undeniable.
Yeah, and I think you're right when you say outside presence, right? Because we do what we do, and we've done it for a long time. We both try to dabble outside of sports. My father stays inside sports, but he reached so far outside it that everybody was familiar with him. Didn't have to love him, didn't have to consume him, could have hung on every word, couldn't wait for the show, couldn't wait for the column, knew the schedule. But he was, unlike you're still not a Minnesotan, he was a Minnesotan. He got it.
Yep.
Somehow this guy who hated winter is the least athletic person I've ever met in my life. So it's not like he was going to be out there doing the Nordic things. But he represented this state. And when we were unfairly treated, he created that culture. When we were better than people gave us credit for, he was that. When he could give us this information that maybe 5 other people in the media had already told you, he still would tell it. And being in this business and at times looking at him as my peer, most time looking at as my father, he just always was going to be there. And I was with my ex-wife Kathleen, who you know well, and we were talking today, and it was like he would work, and he was always there for the kids. And my now girlfriend Carla, it was like he was able to do everything, and he wanted to do everything. And I think that's why people, when Puck passed away, I think both of us took a bit of the same tack, and it was like open up the phone lines. Well, I saw Kirby here, I saw Kirby there. If you took text, how many people ran into my father at some place? And, the last 4 or 5 years, I can't tell you how many texts or other things I get. Well, your father normally would react to me, and I'd say he couldn't hear you, right? And I'm not saying he couldn't be irascible and ornery, because he could be. But a lot of times, he just didn't hear them, But he just was a part of it. And it's just not me, his son, who doesn't know what to do because he's not here. It's so many others who don't know what to do because he just has been that who they wake up to, who they listen to, and who just brings them a piece of their life that they've only known that it was there.
Chad, I can't tell you how much it means to me for your willingness to come on and share your thoughts and your stories to the degree that you have. As you know, my respect for you is immense, and I there's a lot of people who still listen to this station, who started listening to this station decades ago when you started putting the thing together, and they're emailing me. The emails are coming in through the roof of how they feel, how emotional they feel, how supportive they are, and how much their thoughts are with you and the family. The same goes for me and for Guardsy as well. Just do the best you can through this, as I know you're doing, and our thoughts will be with you, especially the next several days. Thanks again, man.
Absolutely. My respect for you. You know that. You are the best. I wish you and your family only happiness, and Guardsy's tremendous. And for all the people who reached out, it is the most sincere thank you and genuine belief that all of this is touching me and my entire family. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, Dan.
Thank you again.